Hi, this is Gentle Blessings Holistic Newborn Care Specialist Workshop, and we are so honored that you have decided to join us. This is the first holistic workshop that we know of for newborn care specialists, and we are so excited to be a part of it. My name is Nancy Ham, and I will be the teacher for this section of the course. I would like to introduce you to not only myself, but also my partner, who is Katie Morin. I will start with Katie. She began her career about 20 years ago. It's probably been a little longer than that now, and has been extremely blessed to work with some amazing families along the way. She has worked with 40 sets of twins, 9 sets of triplets, and quadruplets. She has worked with dozens of preemies, some born as early as 26 weeks. One of Katie's passions is being a teacher and being a mentor, as well as a support guide. I have been in newborn care specialist for about 28 years, and I have also done twins, triplets, quads, and sextuplets. I did not do the sextuplets alone, but and it was quite an experience. Let me tell you, walking into a nursery with 6 bassinets lined up in a row was like breathtakingly overwhelming, and it was really, really hard for me to wrap my head around it. Thank goodness I wasn't alone. I had somebody working with me, and so we just each took 3 babies, and that was our task for the night. And this person just made it a lot of fun, and I was real early in my career, and so was she. So we just did the best job we could, and we just really rocked it. So Katie and I are both certified advanced newborn care specialists, certified by the NCSA and accredited by IMPI. Let's first talk about what is the NCSA. Well, actually, I founded the NCSA about 9 years ago, and the total purpose of the NCSA is to certify newborn care specialists. There was never any other purpose. That is our only purpose, our only goal. We want clients to be able to look at a person who has certified in front of their name and know that they are reference checked, background checked, they have taken the course, they have 1,800 hours in the last 2 years caring for a newborn. Now, that being said, the NCSA's board has just turned over entirely. I am giving up my position, and I am not sure what else they're going to do. They may do continuing education classes. I don't know what they're going to do. But their main purpose and their main goal will still be certifying newborn care specialists. So I would strongly suggest to you that you look into becoming certified once you have the hours and the references. They are also always looking for help. So if you are free and have some talents that they could use, please give them a call or go visit the website at www.ncsainfo.com. We are also accredited by the International Maternity and Parenting Institute. We are so proud of our accreditation, which took place this year in 2018. It was a lot of hard work, but it was certainly worth the effort. So now any of our students who have taken our course throughout the years or the years coming up can now be certified, accredited by the International Maternity and Parenting Institute. So that is a huge benefit for anybody taking our classes. I was going to say something else about that. Just a minute. Oh, I know. They do require more classes than the NCSA, more hours than the NCSA, continuing education. So you need to look into their requirements. That should be posted probably in October. So look for it then, and then things will be off to a full swing. We are also holistic. Glory be. Like I said, we think we are the only holistic newborn care specialist class that is now being offered. And we want to talk to you a little bit about what is holistic, because it is just a little bit different than the regular class. We will still cover all the same items, but we will also include natural remedies to help with solutions to situations that may arise. Being holistic is a body, mind, and spirit experience. So if you are truly a holistic person, you are going to be healthy in your body, in your emotions, and in your spirituality. Holistic means the whole person. The word holistic actually comes from the Greek word holios, meaning all. So when we talk about being holistic, each person is treated as an individual. Like when you go to an allopathic doctor and you have the flu, he is going to give you exactly the same prescription for you and your family and your neighbors and the person in a different state. Everybody is treated the same. When you go to a holistic doctor, they look at your symptoms, but they also look at your state of mind. They also look at, are you under any undue stress? Are your symptoms different than your husband's? Maybe he is throwing up and has diarrhea, but your stomach is just very, very upset and you have diarrhea, but you're not throwing up. So holistically, we would treat you differently than if you were going to an allopathic doctor. When one person becomes ill, just to reiterate, one remedy may work for one person and it won't work for the next person. And homeopathy is a really good example of that. And what I have found is that when a person believes in a modality, it will work for them. So let's just say that this is the easiest one for me to think. It pops right into my head because I so much believe this. If you develop cancer and you believe that chemotherapy is going to work for you, the chances are it will work for you. If you believe that chemotherapy is going to destroy your body, then it will do that. And the same thing is true with using herbs and homeopathy and going to the chiropractor. If you believe that stuff is going to work, it will probably work for you. So let's look at what it means to be holistic when you're not looking at the physical symptoms. We talked about how stress can make or break a person. Let's talk about headaches. Have you ever noticed that when you get a headache, there is something else going on? A headache just doesn't come when you're happy and joyful and having a good time. It generally happens when you're under stress or when you have something else going on. Maybe you've overindulged in food or something like that. But emotions play a huge part in sicknesses and illnesses. Now you say, what does this have to do with a newborn? Newborns feed off of their surroundings. So if their surroundings are high stress surroundings, the chances are that the newborn is going to be a sicker baby, is going to be a fussier baby, is going to have more issues than a family that is a very relaxed, peaceful, happy family. The following is going to be a list. Wait a minute. I need to back up just a minute because we didn't talk about the spiritual connection, which is just going to take me a minute. But it is an integral part of holistic health. And spiritual means different things to different people. So you can be holistic and you can be a Buddhist. You can be holistic and you can be a Christian. You can be a holistic and not be religious at all. But you have a connection to your source. And your source is inside of you. You believe that the peace, the joy, the love comes from the inside of you and not from external sources. That's being spiritual. That is a part that we also address. Many people in their spirituality are very stressed out. There's so many things that they can do, they can't do, they have to do, and their spirituality stresses them out. So that is why spirituality is also a part of being holistic. I want to talk to you about a couple of things here. One is that in this manual, we basically are going to address only the physical. We will address the emotional when it comes time to talk about failure to thrive babies, radical attention deficit, that's RAD, babies, about babies that are really fussy and uncontrollable. But most of the time, our discussion here is going to be on the physical side of what is holistic. Each modality that you use or think about using should always be used under the guidance of that modality's professional. I am not a professional. I cannot guide you. I can tell you remedies that work for certain situations, but I cannot tell you for this baby you need that remedy. And even when you're going through the manual and you're looking at the different remedies for different situations, you always need to check with a healthcare provider before you administer any kind of remedy. Always do your research. Always. Don't take my word for anything. I want you to be able to research. There's nothing more valuable than an NCS who can research, who can dig into the guts of something and find out what is going on. Now, that being said, you have to go into research with a very open mind because whatever you believe, you can find. And that is so true of things like, I'm going to bring something up now that is huge controversy, vaccinations. If you believe children should be vaccinated, you can go and do your research and you can show all the points of why vaccinations are good, and they are not harmful, and they are beneficial, and nobody has ever been harmed from a vaccination. If you are against vaccinations, you can find everything that you want to find that proves that vaccinations are harmful. They're not beneficial. You can go on and on. So what I have found, and I always toss this back and forth, so what do you believe? So how do you know what to believe? How do you know what to believe? You look within yourself. You look within yourself and you say, this to me makes sense. This to me is real. That's how you know what to believe. And until I am proven different and I feel different about this thing, to me, it is real. There's something else I would like to talk about right now, and it's something I always forget, and so I'm going to throw it in here right now while I'm remembering it. And that is that an NCS is not a medical professional. You are not allowed to give medical opinion or advice. I'm going to give you an example, and this is an extreme example, and this will probably never happen anytime in the history, so that's why I'm going to give it. You are on a job with a brand new baby. Mom just came home from the hospital, and she says to you, Susie, what do you recommend for diapers for my little daughter? And Susie says, Pampers, absolutely 100% Pampers. I love them. They are so absorbent. They work really well. I've never had a problem with Pampers. You need to get Pampers. So Mom, not knowing what to do, who to trust, but she trusts her NCS, who she just hired to be educated, goes to the store and gets Pampers. She comes home and puts Pampers on her precious little baby girl. And her precious little baby girl has a reaction from the Pampers. The reaction turns into an infection. The infection brings her to the doctor's office, and the doctor sends her straight to the hospital because this is a bad infection. The hospital is unable to find an antibiotic that will take care of the infection. And lo and behold, the baby dies from a diaper rash that was caused by Pampers. Mom is inconsolable. And when she starts reviewing the sequence of events, who does it lead back to? Who told her to get Pampers? It leads back to Susie. So she goes to her lawyer and she says, Susie told me to get Pampers. She is a newborn care specialist. I am paying her $25, $35, $45 an hour. She's responsible. And the doctor says, what were her exact words? And the mother says, I asked her what to get, and she says, 100% Pampers. I love Pampers. They've never given me any trouble. They're very absorbent. And the lawyer says, are you sure that's what she said? And she says, yes, I'm sure that's what she said. She says, as a matter of fact, I have it in a text. And she pulls out her phone and shows it in a text. Where did Susie go wrong? What are we supposed to do? Are we not allowed to give advice? Here's the clincher to the whole thing. Whenever you give your opinion on something, it is preceded by, in my opinion, Pampers work very well. Or, my last client found that Pampers worked very well. So you never come out and say, here's what you need to do. It is always, in my opinion, or here's something else that I always say, in my opinion, Pampers would work really well, but you should do your research on it just to be sure that that's what you want for your daughter and run it by your healthcare professional. You have just cleared yourself of any liability. First of all, you didn't tell her to do it. You said, in my opinion. Second of all, you told her to do her own research. And third, you told her to run it by her professional healthcare giver. So you have just cleared yourself of a lot of grief. And you do that whether they want Pampers, whether they want a formula, whether they want a probiotic, whatever it is that they want for their baby, whenever they're asking for your opinion, it is always, in my opinion. My last clients thought, or I have used this in the past and it's worked pretty well, but I suggest that you do your research and contact your pediatrician before using it. Always, always, always say something like that. So let's talk about the modalities that we do use. Homeopathic is probably my favorite modality. Basically, I went to school for it. I have I don't remember, 6,000 hours or something like that. I can't remember how many hours I've got in homeopathy, but I have many hours in it. I went to class for a year, 3 times a week, 12 hours a day in the class. Then we went to Sri Lanka for a 3-week clinic where we helped people in need using homeopathy and acupuncture. I came away from that knowing that acupuncture was not for me. And I have always loved homeopathy, but I am not near as versed in homeopathy as some of my really close friends are. So I always look to them whenever I have an issue that needs a little bit of attention. Homeopathy was created in the 18th century by Samuel Hahnemann. And what it does, it's like heals like. So if you have a bee sting, you would use a homeopathic called Apis, because Apis is made from the sting of the bee. It is completely non-toxic. It's safe to use at any age, including newborns. It's safe to use on your pets. It's safe to use on your plants. It's safe to use with anything that is living. It works by stimulating the body's own amazing natural healing properties. Homeopathic remedies are formed by using any material and diluting it over and over and over until there is just a vibration left of that material. And then you'd only use like a drop or 2, and it's measured in dilutions of 3, 6, 12, 30, 200, 1M, and those are X's or C's, like 30C, 200C, or 30X or 200X. They're both very, very similar. You can use either one. And actually, the M's go all the way up to, there's a 50M, a 100M. I think it's 100M, I think is the highest it goes. The high remedies, anything above 200, is always used for emotional stuff. Anytime you're having emotions, let's say that a friend died, or somebody passed real suddenly, or something tragic happened in your life, and you were filled with grief, you would use a homeopathic remedy that was above the 200. And what a homeopathic remedy would do is it does not take away your sorrow. Nothing can take away your sorrow, but it levels it out. Because sometimes we get so engrossed in our sorrow, we can't stop crying, or we can't get our life under control. Homeopathy is one way to deal with that to get your life under control. If you have something that's happened immediate, like you've got a bruise or a cut or a broken bone or something like that, some symptom you just can point a finger at because it's right there, you can see it, you're going to use the low dilations like the 3, the 6, the 12, the 30x, or C, either one. And then if you have something that is a little bit more general, then you would use like the 30C and sometimes a 200C, depending on the severity of it. I'm going to, before I go on, I am going to give you a quick oversight of some of the remedies that are commonly used remedies for homeopathy. I don't have them listed. As you see, we're ready to jump on to pediatric chiropractor. But I wanted to give these to you, and I will go slow enough, and I will actually spell them so that if you want to look some of these up and have some of these on hand, they're really, really handy to have. The first one is Allium sepia, and that's ALLIUM, and then CEPA. And that's for colds or allergies with lots of sneezing, itchy, runny nose, and watery eyes. That is the remedy that you're going to look for if you have allergies. Amazing, works amazing. The next one is Apis. Now, we talked about Apis a little bit already. That is any rash that you have that is itchy, red, stinging, and maybe it feels better with an ice pack on it, like insect bites or hives or sunburn. Anything that is a bite or swollen or anything, it put Apis on, because when you get bit by a bee or stung by a bee, that's how it shows up, as a swelling. So anything that has a swelling, you'd use Apis on. See, it's like heals like. Arnica is the next one. Arnica, everybody needs to have arnica. I carry it with me at all times. When I go hiking, I especially have it in my back pocket. Then if I trip and turn my ankle a little bit, right away I squirt some arnica in my mouth. By the time I get down the mountain, I am fine. I'm walking fine. There's no pain. There's nothing going on. Arnica is for bruises, strains, head bonks, trauma of any kind, any kind. It can also be used topically as a cream. Let's say that you pull a muscle in your leg. It would be great for that. The next one is Arsenicum album. And arsenicum is spelled ARSENICUM, and then album, ALBUM. Now that is the #1 homeopathic remedy for vomiting and diarrhea from the stomach flu or food poisoning. It is also great for asthma attacks in the middle of the night. The next one is belladonna. It's BELLADONNA, belladonna. And that's for sudden high fevers with clammy, bright red face and agitation. The child may even be a little bit delirious. You give them belladonna. Anything with a high fever, give them belladonna. Chamomilla, CHAMOMILA, is for teething pain when there's lots of irritability and crankiness. It can also be associated with ear pain, green diarrhea, and low-grade fever. Ferrum phosphorus, ferrum, FERRUM, and then phosphorus. That's a #1 remedy to give a child when they have an earache. Also, if they have low-grade fever that comes down slowly at the start of any illness, you would give them ferrum phosphorus. And then there's Hepar sulphureus, and that's Hepar, HEPAR, and then sulphureus, SULPHURIS. And you would only use this one in the 30C. And that's for swimmer's ear. So if you're in the middle of summer and your kids are getting swimmer's ear, that's what you use. Or anything with pus, earaches with thick pus behind the eardrum, abscesses, boils, a stinging sore throat as though there was a splinter stuck in it, you'd use the Hepar. Nux vomica, Nux, and then Vomica. That is for people who overindulge. And you can overindulge in drink, in sweets. Sometimes kids just eat too much. Nux vomica, it works great. It is also for when you're really, really stressed out and you have difficulty sleeping. Nux vomica will help with that also. Pulsatilla, Pulsatilla. That's for colds or allergies with the mild, creamy, white, yellow, runny nose, especially when kids get weepy and clingy and need constant comfort from mom or papa, or have a sty. Works great for styes also. So those are just some homeopathic remedies. We'll use them throughout the manual, but they're also just things that are nice to know about. And I just wanted you to know all about them. Let's go on to the pediatric chiropractor. Can't talk. I'm sorry, that was my son, and I meant to turn him off, and I actually answered the phone, so I had to yell. He's going to think, what the heck was that about? Let's talk about the pediatric chiropractor. They use very gentle manipulation on a baby or a child. First of all, there's no bone cracking or anything like that going on when you go to a pediatric chiropractor. It's nothing like a regular chiropractor. Spinal problems that we have as adults, they can many times be linked to birth, by things that we went through birth and were never ever fixed. Hey guys, I've got to just quick text my son and tell him, call me, I'll call him later, call you in a minute. Okay. So when a baby is born, whether it is a natural birth, whether it's a cesarean section, whether it is what they call forceps, they can pull the spine out of adjustment. And that can cause colic, breathing problems, nursing difficulties, sleep issues, allergic reactions, anything that can be caused by these misalignments can be fixed with a pediatric chiropractor. So the spinal cord is an extension of the brain and carries information from the brain to the body parts and then back to the brain again. Let's talk a little bit about cranial sacral therapy. Cranial sacral therapy is an amazing form of natural therapy. The craniosacral system has a powerful influence over the nervous system as well as the endocrine and the immune systems. What a practitioner does is they very, very gently manipulate the neck, head, and the pelvis area. I myself have witnessed 2 cases where the craniosacral therapist first time was able to take a baby who was born without a soft spot, and the doctor says in the skull, and the doctor says, "Oh, don't worry about it. That happens sometimes." Mom thought, No, that's not right. That is not right. Went home and started doing research on it and found out that without the soft spot, the baby's head does not have room to grow and the brain does not have room to develop, and it can cause mental issues, brain damage, whatever. So she went right to the to the craniosacral therapist, and I was there, I watched it, and the baby slept through the whole thing, and he just had his hands on her head, and was just gently, you could see his fingers move every once in a while. He had 3 sessions with her. By the 3rd time, it was like, oh my goodness, look, there is her soft spot. And there it was, just as big and nice as could be. That was one time. The other time was when we had a baby that was having very difficult time breathing. And we couldn't figure out what was going on. Suspected reflux, which it was not. Also had a hard time turning his head. He would only hold his head on one side. Tortiollis was probably what was going on there. That's when one side of the neck's muscle is shorter than the other side. And the craniosacral person came in, and she was working on this baby. He was less than a week old. And all of a sudden you hear him go, and I'm like, oh my God. She says, yep, he just opened up. And he started breathing so much better, and it was just like a new baby. And then she started working on his little neck, so stretching those muscles. And she was able to get him to turn his head, but then we also had to work with him on a daily basis to stretch that. And she came, I think, 2 or 3 times also. And by the end of the last time, he was doing absolutely amazing. So a craniosacral system could, if it's off, it could result in anything from a headache to body aches. Could be anywhere on the body. Disorders that it might help could include birth trauma, like I said before, with issues from vacuums, forceps extraction, or emergency C-section, but also just a vaginal delivery sometime. Trouble with breastfeeding, constipation, gastrointestinal pain and acid reflux, colic, not sleeping well, including early days when day and night seem to be reversed for the infant, teething pain, head issues, shape issues, problems stemming from the birth process, earaches, and developmental delays. The next thing that we should talk about are herbal remedies. Now, there are a lot of herbs that are reported in like lotions and oils and shampoos and everything for baby. We suggest that you only use the standardized organic herbs in an extract or mixture, and also be sure they're GMO free. The list of herbs that are usable is endless. Now, most herbs may be used internally or externally, but for babies, we suggest externally only, with the exception of a few herbs. These are the ones that we have found, and once again, I'm telling you, do your own research also, but these are the ones that we found are okay to use internally. Catnip, chamomile, fennel, calendula, rosemary, catnip, lavender, licorice, lemon balm, vervain, caraway seed, usnea, comfrey, black walnut, mint, golden seal, and bayberry. Most of the herbal mixtures or remedies or whatever are going to be used externally for babies. Acupuncture. Acupressure. It is another form of acupuncture. But you use the same points as you would in acupuncture, but you use your fingers instead of needles. Using that method will stimulate the body's ability to naturally heal. Acupressure is specific to the points that must be utilized. So if you have a pain, then you have a certain point that you would push for pain. And there is an excellent point that works for like headaches or almost any kind of pain. And if you spread your fingers out between your thumb and your first finger, you have that web. And if you push not close to the edge, but further up on that web, it gets real tender. There's that point. I just found it. That is your point for pain. So if you hold that with your one thumb above and one finger below and push on that, if you have a headache, that can take your pain away. That is acupressure. There are acupuncture points found in your ear, in your face, in your feet, down your spine. And all the points for all your organs are found in those areas. But then there also are separate points for those, like say the heart point. Although it can be found in the ear, it's also found on the fingers. So it's just, there's a lot of points to learn if you're going to do acupressure. But we will walk you through just a couple really simple ones to help baby along. Now, for instance, when you're giving a baby a massage, you can take your 2 fingers and run them on up and down either side of the spine. That will hit the acupuncture points for all the organs in the baby's body. Very, very healing and very healthy for the baby. The same thing when you do their little feet. Take their little feet and massage them really good, and you'll hit all those acupuncture points for their organs. So that's just a little bit of information on acupressure. Essential oils. Now, they are derived from natural substances, which include plants of a variety of uses. They can be used for healing, for scents, perfumes. When using oils on babies, we must be very, very proactive. Research is essential. You never use an essential oil on a baby undiluted. You always use a carrier oil when applying an essential oil. The dilution should be 1:30 in the carrier oil. That means you put 1 drop of essential oil to 30 drops of the carrier oil. Now, the carrier oil may be olive oil, coconut oil, almond oil, or Jacoby oil. It is also suggested that you apply the oil to the baby's skin and then put on the diluted essential oil, so that once again you've got another covering of protection, because baby's skin is so tender and so vulnerable. So you want to be very, very careful. If the baby's skin turns red, you need to get it off. The only way to remove it is by adding more oil. If you add water and oil don't mix, so it won't take it off. You have to add more oil until it dilutes and dilutes and dilutes, and then there's nothing left. So there are recipes for teething, diaper rash, eczema, cradle cap, colic, and more. Now, the oils that are safe, according to Deborah Rayburn, an international certified aromatherapist, include geranium, lavender, frankincense, myrrh, lemon, orange, copaiba, ginger, Roman chamomile, dill, tea tree, and rosemary. Okay, let's talk about newborn care. and define what a newborn care specialist really is. A newborn care specialist is an individual who is trained and skilled in newborn care. She's typically going to work 8 to 10-hour shifts at night, but she could also do 24-hour shifts or daytime shifts. She can work any kind of shift she wants to because most of you are going to be self-employed. Some of you may work for agencies, but most of you are going to be self-employed. You'll be knowledgeable in breastfeeding, formulas, setting a schedule, sleep training, interpreting baby's needs, types of diaper rashes, how to treat them, cord care, circumcision care, colic, reflux, swaddling, soothing techniques, ailments, newborn safety, and complete baby basics. You will also have experience with multiples, preemies, and special needs babies. So what's expected of you as a newborn care specialist? Well, you are expected more than anything else to be able to support and educate the parents. Although baby is your primary job, you're not going to keep many jobs if you do not educate. So you want to make sure that you educate. You must create a smooth transition for the family during the newborn stage. So when they get home from the hospital, they think this is all going to be lots of fun. They think that this little sweet angel baby is going to eat, sleep, never cry, of course, smile, Google at them, and they don't realize what they're in for until they get home. And they're so sleep deprived and they have no idea what they're doing, and that's where you come in. So you're going to also troubleshoot potential issues of concern and offer professional options to resolve them. So you have got a baby who is really cranky, spitting up, pulling their legs up, in pain all the time, and you're looking at that baby and saying, Mom is breastfeeding, she's eating something that's causing this baby issues. You're going to be proactive in what you're looking at and informing the parents of that. You're going to maintain a thorough log of infant feedings and their sleep patterns. So they will know what's going on at night when you're taking care of the baby. When you are off your shift, Mom needs to know what's going on. She needs to be able to look at that and say, what is going on? You're going to assist Mom with breastfeeding and maintain a log of and be knowledgeable in potential breastfeeding issues. So if you have a mom who is breastfeeding, you really need to know what to expect. You need to know how to look at the situation and say, she's holding the baby wrong, or the baby's not latching right, or whatever is going on, you need to be totally on top of that. You need to learn how to soothe a baby using skilled and proven techniques that also help calm the baby. Let's talk a little bit about advanced duties. You need to be able to provide assistance with sleep training beyond 3 months. So that would be something advanced that you would do. You may want to, we offer sleep training in this course, but you may also want to take an advanced sleep training course from another company. and get more knowledge on how to sleep train over the age of 3 months. You would be knowledgeable in reflex. Reflex is so up and coming. It's the big thing. Um, it's such an issue. And to be knowledgeable in that is amazing. You will also be knowledgeable in caring for premature babies if you are doing advanced duties. The terminology, let's talk about postpartum terminology just a little bit because we haven't discussed that, and I want to make sure that you do understand that. A doula is a Greek word meaning mother's mother or woman's servant. So a doula is an experienced non-medical person who is in attendance during the postpartum period to help mother with physical, emotional, and education during childbirth and the postpartum period. The doula will provide infant care, however, her primary focus is educating and supporting the family, providing breastfeeding support, emotional support, resources, and any additional referral information to the parents. While the same doula may provide both birth and postpartum care, they each do have a different role. The birth doula is professionally trained to provide support to a woman and her partner during labor and childbirth. And generally, once the baby is born, the birth doula is out of there. That's when the postpartum doula would come in. And she's a support advisor, helper, professionally trained to provide postpartum support for the mother and her family. Now, this means that a doula may be cooking dinner. She may be cleaning the house. She may be watching the siblings. She may have no newborn contact. She may be there as a mother's mother just to help the mother. A mother's helper or a night nanny is a lay person who comes into the home and assists the parents with child care and household tasks. Typically, they're not going to be trained and educated in newborn care, and generally, they don't know what to do if anything happens. They have to rely on mom's information as to what needs to be done. Now, a baby nurse is a professionally trained RN, LPN, or LVN, and she may come into the home for a medical needs baby. And generally, that is what they would hire a baby nurse for. Now, we already know what a newborn care specialist is, but let's talk just a little bit about baby nurse, because we find that many of the newborn caregivers are calling themselves baby nurses, and they are not RNs or LPNs or LVNs. I'm going to tell you right now, if you're one of those people, stop it now. You need to stop it, because if the nursing board hears about you, they will shut you down. And I mean, they have the authority to do that. I've had 2 people who have called themselves baby nurses who have been totally shut down, websites taken down, gone out of business, shut down, because they called themselves baby nurses. Change your name. You don't have to be a newborn care specialist. You can be an infant care specialist. You can be a night nanny. You can call yourself whatever you want, but not a baby nurse. Don't do it. Now, the other thing that I wanted to kind of talk to you about is that the combination of a doula, an NCS, is an amazing combination. You throw in there RN, and it rocks your world, because you've got somebody that can take care of any situation that comes up. There are also people that are lactation consultants who help mom specifically with breastfeeding issues, and that is also an amazing way to go if you're looking for something else to put on your resume, is lactation consultant. Let's talk a little bit about compensation, because that is, of course, important to everybody. A newborn care specialist is going to make, depending on where she lives, how many babies she's taking care of, and her experience level, somewhere between 20 and 35 an hour for a singleton, 25 and 40 for twins, 27 and 45 for triplets, and 30 through 50 for quads. So, and that is, like I said before, it's dependent on all those things. We have had one person who completed this course. Her very first job, she was making $75 an hour. Very first job. It doesn't happen very often. And that, did I say that was for a singleton? Yeah, it was for a singleton. The work schedule that can be set up can be your own. You know, like for instance, I do two things. I work only at nights or 24/7s. I do not do days. Some of the girls are like, oh, I love doing days. To me, I don't want to do days. I want my days to myself, so I do 24/7 or I do night duty. NCS should work on a contractual basis. Always have a contract if you're going to be working. Gentle Blessings actually provides a contract, and as a student, you can get it for half price. It is essential that you have contracts. When you don't have a contract, you're leaving yourself wide open for parents that are going to book you 3 months in advance for 3 months, and a week before they're going to call and say, my mother-in-law decided to come stay with us for this time and we don't need you. And you have no recourse. You have nothing unless you have a contract. Weekly hours can vary. Once again, most predominantly, it's like 40 hours a week. That is generally what we work. But I'm sure there's a lot of people that work more than that. So whatever works for you. Let's talk about marketing just a little bit. There are so many ways to market yourself, and I'll tell you one way that does not work: sitting on your butt at home and watching TV. You can take this class and you can know all this information and you can go home and you can sit on your butt and you can say, I'm not getting any work. I don't know what to do. And believe me, I've had people call me and tell me that. And I'm like, so what have you done? Well, I don't know what to do. I said, did you take the class? Yeah. Did you listen to the marketing? Yeah. Do some of that. I am a straight up person. I am not going to mess around with you. There are so many ways that you can take care of things. Let's start with agencies. I want you to sign up with agencies. I've had people call me after looking for work for a year, waiting for their referrals, waiting for people to refer them out, and not getting anything, and then call me and say, well, it's been a year, almost a year and a half, and I haven't had any work. I think I'm going to go sign up with an agency. And I'm like, why didn't you do that in the beginning? You just have to be careful with the agencies. You just have to know what you're getting into. You make sure what your pay is right up front when you go with an agency. Some agencies are very, very fair, and some will gouge you or the client, and they don't care. So make sure when you go into that interview with the agency that you know what are you getting paid per hour. If it's not around 25 to 35 an hour, you're not interested. And there are agencies that will, the clients will pay them $40 an hour and they'll pay you $15. So you've got to make sure when you go with the agency what you're up against. I would also, if I went with an agency, make sure that the client paid me, not the agency pay you. That's up to you, but that's just kind of my feeling in it. The next thing is networking. Use your friends who are already nannies or newborn care specialists. Pass their name along. If you have friends that are nannies, their parents are always getting pregnant. Somebody's always having a baby. And they're like, well, we want to take care of the baby and we don't want you to do it. But you have a very special ability. You can train a baby to sleep through the night by the time the baby's 12 weeks old. So if mom is going back to work, she doesn't want to be getting up with that baby. And the nanny, there's not a thing the nanny can do. So you could go in at night and do the sleep training on the baby. You get the scheduling squared away and things like that. Referrals. Referrals are the great job finder. So always do a fabulous job, and your clients will refer you. That is just the way it works. I just left a job, and my client told everybody about me. Everybody. I mean, she's telling her hairdressers about me. She's telling her nail people about me. She told everybody about me. And that's the kind of thing that you want. Churches and community organizations. Many churches have newsletters or bulletin boards or just networking with people at church. A lot of times you can place a little ad inside of a newsletter. Costs next to nothing to do it. And some of these churches, they'll hire people or look for people within their own community rather than go outside of that. Care.com can be a great source. Once again, be careful. These people do not want to pay generally. But that doesn't mean that some people haven't gone through Care.com and gotten amazing jobs. So don't write them off. Advertising. Business cards, magnets, brochures, ads and newsletters. Put your car magnet, get a car magnet, put it on. Mine is newborn care, certified newborn care specialist, available for sleep training, preemies, multiples, newborns. And I have a picture of a baby on it. And I've had it on my car for years. Get a website. If you don't have a website, get a website. How's anybody going to find you? Today, especially now, everything is online. Everybody gets online to find somebody. Nobody goes to the telephone book anymore. You got to get your stuff online. So if you don't have a website, get a website. You can build one and run one for as little as $9.99 a month. You can put your resume on there. You do not put any personal names on there other than your own. You do not put any phone numbers of any of your clients. That is upon request. You do not put any pictures of your babies online. And I think that's pretty much all for that. Just be real careful what you put online. Only your personal information, only your phone number, only your email address. On your resume, you would say January through May 2018. And then for the client's name, you put Sue and Bill. And then you could put bullet, newborn baby boy, bullet, sleep trained by 12 weeks. Something like that. Parenting groups. Teach a class on what you've learned here. You could teach a class on diapering and make really good money. Or do it for free. Do it for free and just do it for getting your name out there. There are mommy groups, newborn groups. There is a group called meetup.com. And go to meetup.com, put in your city and pregnant moms or new moms or something like that in the search engine. And you will find so many meetup groups. And just write to the head of the meetup group and say, I'm a newborn care specialist. I'd love to come and answer any questions your mom may have about newborn care. Don't charge them or anything. Just go and get your name out there. Work in your nursery, your neighborhood church nursery. That's a good way to get people to know you, to get experience, and for you to get your name out there. Use Facebook and Twitter. There are a lot of newborn care specialist groups out there where there's jobs posted, and you can post, I'm looking for work. If you are interested in some of those Facebook groups, Katie and I will put you in touch with them and hook you up with them. There are also mothers of multiples, and that is an internet website for mothers who have twins or above. There are mothers of multiples, and they have a newsletter. It goes out to all of their mothers of multiples, and it is very well read. You can get a little business card ad, put it in there, run it every month. I think they send out a newsletter, and your name is out there, and it goes specific to your town. So those are all ways that you can market your skill. What is an intern and what does she do? Well, if you haven't taken care of newborns before, you are going to be an intern. So what you're going to do is you're going to get experience based on your level of learning. So you might want to volunteer some of your time. You might want to work for maybe you can't afford to volunteer any of your time, but you could afford to work for $15 an hour to get your name out there, to get some experience. So you could go and help a mother during the day, take care of her newborn, or if she's got multiples, help her take care of the twins or triplets. She may have her hands way too full. You're going to get experience from volunteer work. You may get to follow another NCS on her job, and she would probably allow you to do some of the work. And that way you can, you probably won't get paid for that one, but you could see how it goes, what happens when she's on the job, how you handle the experience, and things like that. Let's talk about what a night looks like. Well, your night is going to start when you get there sometime between 7 and 10 p.m. What I generally do is sit down and talk to mom and dad, or one or the other, and ask them how their day went. You're not interested in their personal life. You want to know how that day went with the baby. Did they have any problems? Is there anything you can help with? This is when you're going to educate the parents. You're going to talk about sleep training. You're going to talk about bathing the baby, scheduling the baby. You're going to help mom organize her day. That's what that time is for. It may take, 30 minutes. It may take an hour. It may take 15 minutes. The longer you're there, the less time you're going to spend with the parents. In fact, you'll probably get to the point where you walk in at night and you don't even see them. That happens to me a lot. Now, depending on when the baby last ate and what time you arrived, you may have to feed the baby before you go to bed. However, you will not wake the baby up to do this feed. Unless it's been instructed by the doctor that the baby needs to feed at specific times, like every 2.5 to 3 hours, then you do not wake a baby up after they go down for their nighttime sleep at around 7 o'clock. Now, they're probably going to wake up every 3 hours anyway, but once in a while you're going to get a little sweetheart who decides to sleep 4 or 5 hours at a stretch, and you're going to be like, yes, this is what I want. You sleep when the baby sleeps. Now, first, that's going to be hard for you because you're going to be worried about, will I wake up? Will I hear the baby? Everything like that. You usually have a monitor by your bed. You're going to hear the baby. Believe me, you're going to hear every grunt and every groan and everything that the baby does, you'll hear. If you are a heavy sleeper, then I would suggest that you be very, very careful. You cannot be sleeping while the baby's crying. Some of the NCSs do a dream feed, and some of them do not. We're going to discuss dream feeds later on in the manual. So whatever you do, it will impact your sleep training with the baby. And we need to discuss that with the parents. You're going to go to bed and get up when the baby wakes up. We just kind of talked about that. If you're on the 10 to 6 p.m. schedule, you'll feed the baby just before you leave at 5:30. Now, if the baby takes a bottle after 4 a.m., you're not going to wake them up at 5:30 to feed them before you leave at 6. However, if the baby fed at 3 a.m. or before, you should feed the baby before you leave at 6 a.m. That schedule will give the mom 3 more hours of sleep, and she will love that. Remember that you're not responsible for siblings, pets, and housework. You're going to have the occasional person ask you, I'm paying you to sleep? That doesn't make any sense. You're not paying me to sleep. You are paying me to take care of your baby at night. You're paying me to be responsible for your baby at night. When you are doing daytime duty, then you are responsible for all the newborn's needs. And that includes the laundry, the nursery setup, stocking the nursery, bathing, whatever the parents ask you to help with concern to the newborn. There are people who don't understand what we do. And we want to make sure that they understand it. It's important for us, it's important for them to know. You're going to come across somebody that's going to say, so what do you do? Well, here's the thing. Mom is told to sleep when the baby sleeps. Now, that sounds like she's going to be getting a lot of sleep because babies sleep a lot. They don't sleep for long periods, but they do sleep a lot. So a baby may sleep for 50 minutes and then wake up. If mom is breastfeeding, she'll put the baby to the breast every 2.5 to 3 hours. It'll take approximately 45 minutes to feed, maybe another 15 to change the baby and put it back down. Then mom can go back to bed and get up in another 1.5 to 2 hours. That is bound to lead to sleep deprivation. As adults, we're used to sleeping soundly or deeply for extended periods of time, and not getting that sleep will drastically reduce the ability to deal with it during the day. Sleep deprivation in an adult will result in memory loss, inability to deal with simple issues during the day, and can lead to postpartum. So